On this week's episode, I am speaking with Wes Hanslip, aka WEZ4. Wes is probably one of the busiest individuals I've met, currently in 3 active bands on top of running his own business. One of the groups he's involved in is Borstal, a hardcore band with some quite prolific members. At the time of recording this episode, they had recently released their debut EP. Never one to stay unproductive, Wes has another group called Wail of Sirens, who also released an EP earlier this year in 2021. Wes was brought up in the UK and currently lives in Sweden. This has not stopped him from traveling in between the 2 countries and managing his projects. And this is on top of his own tattoo studio, Anvil. We go over all this and his past achievements and what is quite possibly the definition of a wage-slave warrior. Enjoy.
How we doing, man?
Yes, Wes, you good?
Yeah, not bad, man. Not bad. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Right? I can hear you. You can hear me?
Sweet. Yeah, man, we're good. We're good. I just figured that you probably got a little bit more high-tech stuff than me, you know what
I mean? To be honest, though, it was a necessary bit of investment on my part. I mean, you saw the result of that lyric video. Can't be going cheap for getting results like that.
Nah, bro. No, you stepped up your game, man.
Nah, but I bet you're feeling pretty chuffed recently. I mean, at the time of recording this, the Borstal EP, At Her Majesty's Pleasure, came out about 4 days ago, so I'm guessing that was a big weight off your chest.
Dude, everybody's been so impatient over that, man. Everybody's been so impatient. It feels like it took forever, but essentially we put it all together really quickly. Like the whole process was really quick, but I think we're just when people are sat at home feeling feeling tired and bored and this, that, and the other, you've got nothing to think about. But then, like, man, I wish this was out, you know. But it's good, man. It's good. We're on point.
Absolutely. Like what I was, because with the EP itself, because with Borstal as a whole, essentially on the surface, it looks like a bit of a super group because you got, you know, probably the face of UK hardcore, Pierre, fronting it. You got you guys, you and Lee from Dripback. You've got his name escapes me, from King of Pigs, I think it was.
Jamie from King of Pigs. Yeah.
And then I think this is probably the big unique selling point was Nick Barker on drums. And Nick is, well, he's had a very long storied career throughout sort of, you know, international metal, because he drummed originally from Cradle of Filth, then moved to Dim and Borgir, and he's had stunts sessioning for all kinds of bands, Testament, Brugira currently. There was that project he had with Lockout with members of Napalm Death as well. Fucking fantastic band.
That's my favorite one of his, actually, bro. That's the one.
It is quite tasty, I gotta say. I mean, how did that all come about? This sort of, you know, basically forming this, I think it is safe to call it a sort of a super group of sorts.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's funny when you say super group, because I don't really see it from that angle, because essentially it's just people from other bands getting and do, you know, like everybody does that, don't they?
Yeah.
You know, when you spend so much time like in playing in bands and you know, going to shows, different areas that I've lived, and so on, then it just becomes a normal thing. But me and Nick and Lee have been friends for like about 15 years or so. And we always just used to meet up at like musical events or whatever, or just try and find a time to hang out, chat shit and whatever. And he wanted to do something, didn't know who we wanted to do it with and whatever, and he just mentioned it to me and Lee, and we just jumped straight on it, just started doing demos, you know, like we were well interested to do something and see where it came. Me and Lee write really, really well together. And then Pierre, that was just right, you know, Barker's like, right, who's good? It's like, this guy. It's like, do you know him? Yeah, give him a call. And he said yes straight away. I think we got Pierre at the right time, you know. There was not a lot going on. He was in between records and stuff like time. So that was good. And now he's stuck in it.
Made him an offer he can't refuse.
And Jamie, I've known Jamie since I was about and Jamie, I know Jamie since I was about 14, 15.
Yeah.
We're both from Grimsby, and up until I left when I was 18, I was going to all the metal shows there. And Jamie's a bit older than me. They were always cool to us kids when we were going to the shows, like 14, 15, 16. And we just stayed in touch from there. Like, me and Lee are both big fans of King of Pigs as well, man. So that's a real cool band. Check them out.
I mean, I've listened to the EP. It's not long since out, but my takeaway from it was that it had a very old school vibe to it. It reminded me a lot of sort of like your New York hardcore bands, even like early ones, like Agnostic Front from the 80s, Cro-Mags in parts, Crumbsuckers, early Sick of It All as well. There was a definite sort of aim with this. It has a lot more in common with, I'd say it's a lot more punk than it is sort of contemporary hardcore. And you know what? It's kind of refreshing to hear that in the sort of a classical sense.
That's nice to hear, man. I mean, for us, it was just what came out naturally. To be honest, like, we wanted to do something that was more focused on that like 80s, 90s style. Like Poison Idea is a big one of mine.
Oh yeah, great band.
You know, and obviously Lee grew up with a lot of Oi stuff. I listened to a hell of a lot of D-beat, cross punk and stuff like that. And so to take all of those elements and put it into Barker saying, I want to do stuff that sounds like this, and this, it's like, sweet, because that's what we're doing. We're not reinventing the wheel. We're just playing the music that we all appreciate, you know.
It looked like it pretty much came at the right time as well. And it's interesting to note that, yeah, a lot of this was, I remember you saying before that Nick Barker as well, especially had a real interest in sort of getting into that scene as well. I mean, for a man who's basically done pretty much all extremes in metal, I guess I'm guessing this is kind of a break for him in some respects. Doesn't require like 200, 300 BPM sort of blast per minute. It's a bit more straightforward.
Yeah, that's true. I can imagine that it is a little bit easier. But saying that, he puts everything into everything he does. So, you know, I'm sure it's gonna wear him out after a 40-minute set or whatever. You know what I mean? Also, I mean, talking about the changes for him as well. Like, imagine playing all these. We've been talking about this, like playing hardcore shows, because, you know, yeah, sure, like you see wild crowds and stuff, and especially I'm sure with Brujeria, they've got people coming on stage and this, that, and the other. But playing some of these hardcore shows in England on like a couple of pallets on the floor, like, that should be pretty wild, man. Like, protecting the kit
just to prevent pylons. Yeah, like I would happily say, like, as a punter and gone to plenty of shows, like plenty of Ruction shows, and even sort of festivals abroad as well. Yeah, hardcore shows are a whole other thing. You know, probably anything can happen. Anything can happen. You know.
Yeah, bro.
You know, whereas like other musical genres which show some restraint, I think, you know, you're not going to get that all the time with this genre of music. So yeah, I hope you've briefed them on that, especially when you do eventually take this live, which I assume you are.
He was going to metal shows in the UK in the 80s, so he's seen his fair share of carnage as well.
Yeah, I'm sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was going to mention this before because you touched upon it as well. And this is a very unique thing that sort of happened at the end of the EP was the King of the Jungle cover. Now that was actually written by your guitarist Lee's dad, Arthur Kitchener, right?
Yeah,
that's like a 40-year-old song, basically. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, he's 40 years old, I believe. Well, I mean, the record that it comes off is a banging record anyway. Like there's loads. Like if you look back through other hardcore things, I can't remember if it was Sick of It All or Madball did a cover of the last resort. I mean, there's been so many bands that do that sort of stuff, but King of the Jungle was an obvious choice, like, because that was obviously Lee's favorite, and he's just like, right, this is what we're doing, you know. Like, everybody just jumped at it. It was a really, really nice vibe, actually, to have that as the cover, you know.
Well, not only that, you got the man himself on there as well.
Yeah, that was a given, man. Respect to Arthur for that, but it was that was a given, man. We had to ask.
No, man, like I like the whole package you sort of brought out as well in that entire EP. Like by the time I finished listening to it, well, automatically I wanted to listen to it again, but deep down inside I wanted more. I was just like, oh, this is done.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about that as well. Like, to be honest, I think like this record is pretty much like it's short, sharp, and sweet. We wanted to put something out there to sort of say, yo, what's up? We're here. Take advantage of the time that we had with all this like lockdown stuff and all of that crazy shit. Like, right, okay, there's people stuck at home. We can be, you know, I was flying back and forth in between things and basically like registering my quarantine. So like I was registered as in quarantine at Charlie's rehearsal room, recording studio. Sorry.
So yeah, I was going to say that probably was a logistical challenge of its own.
Yeah, dude, like bouncing about like that was crazy. But we just took every advantage of every option and angle that we had, and we got shit done really quick. And we had I think we had 2 rehearsals. We had one with Pedro, yeah, I think 2 full rehearsals, and then that was it. We were in the studio, and we were still changing shit then. But yeah, we got it done, and then it was like this long process of trying to get it out, which is when you're doing it on your own. Well, say you like when Lee's doing it on his own, because that's pretty much how it's been.
Yeah, is that independently through the label that you put it on, For Family Records?
Yeah, we did the first 2 Dripback ones on that as well. Sorry for the fact that it was a nicer feeling, like knowing that you're going to be able to move them, or at least, you know, hoping like you know, with a very positive approach that you're going to get rid of how many you press. Then we just did it, and obviously like, we did it with the first 2 the Dripback album and the second EP, and so we just continued that. But now Lee's secured, we have distro through. We've got European distro through Cortex, and nice. And that's nice to be for them to do it as well, because we highly respect that record label and store. And we've also got distro with Cargo as well. So Cargo's handling most of our distro. So we're stoked, man. We're stoked to have it out there and have it like semi-professional. Lee's done all the work to make that happen. And yeah, we're stoked to get it out there, bro. Finally. Yeah, it's not even out. It's not even on people's doorsteps yet, but still, yeah.
Yeah. You gotta. It's those vinyl orders and those special CDs. It's the logistics of fulfilling all the physical copies of the album that takes a bit of time. But hey, you guys did it. You know, you put in the work and put in the infrastructure.
Yeah, as I say, it's all respect to Lee, man, because not we haven't been able to go down and help him, or you know, I'd fly over in a second and help him out. Yeah. But with all of this shit right now, like it's super difficult. So it's been an extra stress for my man there. But it's you know, everybody's listening to it, everybody's digging it. So happy days. That's all that matters in the end. That's what your aim is in the beginning, right?
So what's the plan now for Borstal? Wait till things normalize, get shows booked?
Well, we're booked again. We're booked in the studio for July. This time with Russ Russell. Nice. That's penciled in now. Solely to the fact that, you know, nobody still really knows what's going on COVID-wise. But yeah, we're booked in the studio with Russ Russell. We're gonna do a 7-inch, just so that we can bash that out. We got songs ready for that, and then we got half an album of stuff as well. It's been a lot of hard work putting into demos and stuff. Like me and Lee were bouncing off like 1 or 2 demos a week at a certain point, and we just kept everything. We cherry picked bits that we wanted, and we sort of cherry picked stuff that we liked. You know, we want to put that on the album. So it's been nice to be able to pick and choose, really.
I'm looking forward to it because based on what I've heard so far, I'm definitely up for more. But you were mentioning sort of the logistical challenges for yourself. I mean, for anyone who doesn't know this, I mean, you currently reside in Sweden, but you're often back and forth between Sweden and the UK. So, and whilst you're in Sweden, you manage your own tattoo business as well, and you got up to all kinds of stuff like that. I mean, do you care to sort of break it down? Sort of.
Yeah, that's my one. Anvil Tattoo Shop in Västerås.
That's the one. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's my way of making a living over here. I've been tattooing long time. So I was working in London before, and then obviously when I moved over here, I started tattooing. I worked in a few shops, and then got to have my own. So then I have my shop now, and I have another guy who works for me who's called Totte, and he was my apprentice. Was my apprentice, and now he works for me full time. I live literally 5 minutes from the Ryanair airport. The flights to Stansted, like 5 minutes away. So ideally, when everything's normal, I can pick up a flight for 60 or 70 quid return, and then just bash on home, and it's like 5 hours from my door to Lee's door. So it's cheap and it's easy, and that's how I've always done. Like I've been here 10 years, so I did all the Dripback stuff. Towards the end of my oven band river freshening, I was doing shows there. And I just fly back and forth because it's essentially, if you think about the price of UK trains, it's cheaper than a train journey from London to Edinburgh or whatever, like
I've heard this. I've heard like apparently like flights to even like from UK to Madrid and then back up to Scotland are cheaper than getting like a train fare from London to Scotland. I can't remember where I sourced this. It was in a metro
dude.
Or something.
Yeah, for sure. I don't even know what those prices are. Like, if I have to go see my mum and dad in Grimsby, like, I'll just suffer it and take the National Express. It's like I'm just not paying that. I'm not paying it, bro. Like, I could just get a couple of tinnies and chill on the bus. It might take twice as long, 3 times as long, and like it's got a chemical toilet on it. But the trains suck too, bro. And I ain't forking out 120 quid to go, on a 2-hour journey. That's madness.
But you've obviously resided well in Sweden as is. Started basically your own tattoo business, done the whole family package out there and stuff like that. And you've obviously found a good logistical niche of getting back and forth just to settle business in the UK and stuff like that. Again, be as vague as you want about this. I mean, how's life in Sweden compared to the UK, especially at the moment?
Well, it's been to be honest, it's the first time that I've really been appreciative of living in Sweden because it's been so easy over here. Like my tattoo shop hasn't closed like at all. You can still go to the pub. I mean, there's changes. Live music's been dead. That's been a shit. But yeah, it's been super easy over here, man. Like super easy. Everybody's pretty much just going about their business. It's just with that extra little bit, So that's the first time that I've really enjoyed it. I'm not really a fan of it, to be honest. I miss home too much, man. I miss home too much. Like I like the food, anything, man. Like Marks and Spencer sandwiches, my not even
chicken dandy. Or whatever.
Well, that's another one. Do you know what I mean? Fried chicken, you can't get that here. You can't get jerk chicken. You can't get patties.
Shit.
Like corned beef, like a Cornish pasty. You know what I mean? That'd be sweet. You know what I mean? There's sort of fish and chips. All of them things. Like it's different. It's different here, and that's that. It's not solely based around food, but yeah, it is a big bummer for me, really. But on the whole, because I'm so close and I can be back and forth, so quickly and dash in for weekends if I need to, like I've flown in on the day of the show with Dripback sometimes, man. Just fly in, get there, like sound check's already done. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Play the show, get mangled, fly home in the morning,
Racked up some serious air miles at that point.
Yeah.
The thing I just sort of took away, because I mean, I've never been to Sweden before, but I've basically consumed quite a lot of the country's exports, especially when it comes to music. I mean, you know, metal just has sort of a big presence there. Now, I know you said like basically gigs at the moment are dead over there, but that doesn't necessarily stop you from, you know, getting your hands dirty, especially with the music out there. I mean, what's your sort of takeaway with, just sort of the musical output on there now that you're in there in the flesh?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cool bands, and the government kind of handles things a little bit differently as well. There's a lot of sort of like focus on the arts or whatever, you know what I mean? So the rehearsal room that we've literally just left there. We left there. That's when my other band, Wail of Sirens, to have a band here as well.
Yeah, that's right.
And we once again, like 10 minutes from my house, we had like a government building just full of rehearsal rooms. We had that for like 7 years. So we Joel, our drummer, like he put walls up, he took walls down, like fucking just set it up our way. And so we set it up into a live room, and we've recorded pretty much, we have everything that we've recorded, recorded in that space. And so it's kind of supported that way, like, because the government's sort of basically allowing us that space and letting us do what the fuck we want with it. Which obviously in London, when we've played shows in London with Wail of Sirens, we're like, we should have a rehearsal the day before. So we'll go early and then we'll have a rehearsal the day before in London and just borrow all the stuff, you know. And their eyes stick out of their heads. It's like, what do you mean it's 60 quid for a rehearsal? You know what I mean? You're like, like, we don't pay that a month. You know what I mean? Like, what's going on?
I was going to say,
it's 3 hours.
It sounds like the Swedish government's a bit more appreciative of the arts, but at least that's what I'm sort of getting from this.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, like if you look at it as a main export as well, I mean, I'm not sure if it is, but I mean, look, like from ABBA onwards, you know,
I believe that
they've always had a presence, haven't they?
Well,
maybe before that, I don't know.
Well, this is it. I mean, like Scandinavian countries as a whole, I think it has been statistically proven that a lot of their musical exports are music. I mean, take Norway, for example. I think black metal is not just their biggest musical export. I think it's just their biggest export overall. It's the one that's had the most far-reaching influence and market. So yeah, I guess it wouldn't surprise me in that aspect that, hey, you know, government's trying to encourage the economy locally. Music is part of that economy from the sounds of it.
Well, yeah, I mean, like in Stockholm as well. When I lived in Stockholm, there were so many places that I could go see, especially like hardcore punk shows and stuff like that. And there was loads of places for me to go and see that sort of stuff. Like where I live, not so much. Like, which is strange because they've got all these rehearsal rooms. There's like 200 bands rehearsing, with the government subsidizing that, but there's nowhere for them to play. Like we've got like one venue that it doesn't seem so easy to book out unless you want to fork out one of your kidneys. So it's really, really tough to be able to like self-promote. Like I've been doing since I was like 15, you know, going into a pub going, have you got a function room? And he goes, yeah, it's 30 quid to bring a PA. And you're like, all right, yeah, cool. And that's it. Like that was how easy it was to put on a show in the north of England when you were a kid, you know. And I guess the same in London because we've done it there as well.
Yeah.
You know, even now you can get the Black Heart, you know, if you've got the money to put down for the deposit, you can put on your show. Whereas over here, it's a bit more difficult where I live, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, well, with any luck, the Black Heart will actually still be around once things get back to normal. I know a lot of venues are kind of at risk at the moment. But I guess from the sounds of it, it sounds like there's sort of pros and cons to where you are at the moment. That being said, though, and you mentioned this as well, I was going to mention as well, Wail of Sirens, because, you just basically released the Borstal EP, but not all that long ago, you actually forked out a release with your other group, Wail of Sirens, that you play guitar for, Purified Fire. Let me say that again. Purified by Fire. Slipping over my words here.
That's so good. Yeah, I mean that was like part of our process. We do things. Some people might think it's weird, but I think some of us think it's weird. But we the way that we record is basically just down to the way that most of us want to do it. So normally we'll just knock out the drums. And if Joel's happy with the drums, sometimes we'll do that, like do 2 tracks on a Monday and then another tracks the next Monday, or one evening go in and knock out a couple of tracks. And that we did that literally with everything. I don't think there was any like sit down and do the whole fucking thing at all. Like, so we just go in and do a bit, get it all right, and then we sent that off to Will from Gadget, who's not only our boss musician, but he does a solid job at mix and mastering as well. So we played a show with them and Napalm with Wail of Sirens in Stockholm, and we shared a dressing room with Gadget. Super cool guys, and we just sort of stayed in touch. And so then that was I think the first one was secretly done by Ross Russell. Secretly. The second one was put together by Aaron Darling, ex-DTC, but I really messed with him with that because we recorded everything live, bro. It's sorry. But then he made it sound sounding this bum noticing it and everything. We don't give a fuck. And he made that sound listenable, so that was good. And then we gave him a proper shot at the one before Purify by Fire, which was Slaves. And that sounds wicked, man. I'm super stoked with it.
Yeah, the actual sound of Wail of Sirens is, I guess it's what you'd call that signature Swedish sound. You got HM2 pedals just making that chainsaw guitar sound just all over the place. And if you ever hear it, basically, it's probably one of the most noisiest and yet somehow strangely sonically clear at times guitar sound. It's what defined bands like Entombed, Grave, Dismember, and it's not gone away. In fact, it's had a bit of a resurgence, that sound. You with Wail of Sirens, you sort of take that and you sort of give it a sort of almost D-beat approach in the music.
Yeah. Well, that was the intention. The chainsaw tone, like that only really came about on Slaves, and that was solely because there'd already been that big wave of bands with that tone coming out. I can think of bands like Trap Them and shit like that you were hearing that tone, and it's like, okay. And then obviously Black Breath and all of those bands. Yeah. And so it was definitely that resurgence was definitely on my radar, but it wasn't until we were just about to do Slaves and everyone was doing these HM2 copy pedals.
Yeah.
And some of them were just ridiculous. Like Alex got this one called the Pandemonium, and it's got like 8 or 12 knobs or something. I'm just like, fuck off, no. I don't know what to do with that. But then I went out and got the opposite of that, which is the iMaster.
And that's got 2 knobs.
It's got 2 knobs, yeah. It's basically got like a gain and a volume, and it's built like a brick shithouse. It's like, yeah, and it's like 25 quid. That's me, man. so and that's we stuck with it there. We stuck with it like that. When we went to Mexico, Lee from Dripback played guitar with me because Alex, our guitarist, couldn't make it. So then it was the same. It's like, yo, we're gonna do pedal boards. What amps are we gonna get when we get there? Like, are we gonna end up and turn up and there's like a little Fender combo? Like, who knows? So we just were like, right, we've got to put these pedal boards together, but they can't cost a lot because we're going to get battered in Mexico and play like 5 shows, that's 5 shows worth of proper solid drinking. Like, let's not spend any money. So the same, we took the pink, the Behringer ones.
Yeah, I got one of those.
And just ran that through the send return on the noise gate, which is definitely something you should try. That setup, rather than just having the noise gate, like running it through it. And we just both had one of them. And so every night, like we were playing with all these other D-beat, like these cross punk and D-beat bands, like raw punk bands and whatever. everybody's kind of playing in like E standard and D, and then we come on in B and just crack these fucking pedals on, you know what I mean? Like, oh, that sounds miserable.
I was going to ask, because you brought up, because you actually had a stint in Mexico with a few gigs. I mean, how did that come about? Because I mean, there's not many bands I know that play Mexico, of all places.
Well, with that, basically our singer Enrique, he's originally from Argentina, and he's got a lot of friends all over Latin America. So when he joined the band, instantly, like, there became like this, with him sharing it with all his friends and friends who are in bands and friends who do labels, you know, all over there, whether it be, I know that he's talked about, he knows people in Brazil, and there's people in Argentina, and then there's people in Mexico, and so on and so on. So everybody over there started getting to hear our stuff, because Enrique was just saying, yo, look, check out this thing that I'm doing. And from that, one of the promoters for the Punky Tube Festival, which is like, it's a big 3-day festival out there, in some like hired sort of hacienda, like secured off place. They were like, yo, you want to come and play? And it's like, can't just go there and play one show. Like, let's hook up as many as we can. So we, I think we hooked up 5 shows, and then we ended up doing 4. But it was, that was crazy, dude. That was absolutely crazy. We had a wicked week. Saw some mad shit. Did some mad shit. So that was good.
This is what happens in Mexico stays in Mexico, I guess. But I imagine the crowds there.
It's the same thing that happens in Holloway, to be honest, bro.
I mean, yeah, because it's just one of those. It's one of those places I never think about. But then again, I think a lot of sort of like, well, not only just like Mexico, but like there's a huge fan base for metal in sort of Latin America and South America. Now that I think about it, I mean, I remember a mutual friend of ours, Mauricio. He was showing me like footage of all these South American festivals, and a lot of them, they just go ape shit. They love it out there.
Yeah, dude.
Love it down there.
Dude. Yeah, and I got that from playing these small shows as well. You know, like, cause I've seen those. I see the videos of Brujeria, you know, all the time. You know, and it's like, holy shit, there's like 30,000 people going fucking nuts, you know. But every night that we played, it was a madness, and we were playing in like venues. We played in some random like village hall in the middle of nowhere, and it rammed with battered people, like all different types of people as well, you know. But yeah, we played in the center of Mexico City as well. That was super cool. Like up like on a 4th floor. The whole place looked like a London squat, pretty much. Right. But when Joel sat on the drum kit, on the drum riser, his back was literally touching a glass window that just went right down.
Oh shit!
Like into like literally, it's like the equivalent of like. It doesn't look like it, but I imagine it to be like one of those big famous like roundabouts in London. It's like one of them, like the Mexico City version of that. And then this shitty building just crammed in beside, like super cool place. Yeah, we played that. That was the first show that we played, I think. Yeah, that was badass. But every show over there, the people were really cool. We met a lot of cool bands, like bands that we're now working on bits for a split with, because we saved some stuff from Purified with Fire. We recorded, I think, 11 or 12 tracks, nice. but we only put the 7 on the record, and then we saved some other stuff so that we can do it with some bands over there, bands that we met, played with, hung out with the time that we were over there.
Why not? I mean, it's not every day you get sort of like a Swedish band and a Mexican band doing a split. It's nice when they have sort of like an international split and stuff like that as well. Just get like two music scenes together.
We did that with Cryptus, which is a band that we met over there. Also, like straight up, I think they actually use actual legit HM2s.
Oh snap! They actually got some.
yeah. But yeah, we played with those guys at the Punkitude Festival, and we were already listening to them before we went, because we checked out a lot of the bands that we were playing with beforehand. Like, that's a wonder with modern technology, you know. It's like,
Yeah.
Okay, what do they sound like? And so we were already stoked to hear Cryptas. And so we hung out with those guys, and I think on, like, as soon as we met, it was like, oh, we're gonna do this split, you know, and they had tracks ready. So we didn't have anything, so we just pulled some stuff off of Slaves. Just was like, fuck it, stick it on a split 7-inch. So we did that with Cryptas. We were working on that pretty much as soon as we got back from Mexico, I guess. And then obviously vinyl pressing, loads of different labels putting money in, because it's like that cross punk mentality. Like, it's got like 10 labels all putting in for a 7-inch.
Yeah.
So nobody effectively loses a lot of money.
Yeah, and you still have a fan base that wants to pick up physical media, often like very old media, like vinyls and cassette tapes.
Yeah, and that's what we've done with Wail of Sirens. I put the first 4-track EP out. I put that out on tape on my DIY label, Tired of Life. And all I did with that, like, I saved just a few to sell at live shows. I just put it all into distro. So I just contacted distros strategically over the world. As soon as I got one, I had one in France, one in Spain, I had one in the Philippines, I had one in Canada, and it's like, right, okay, there's my records, just get rid of them. You know what I mean? And hopefully that then it hits people from a different angle. They just see it at a distro, at a show, or they see it on some distros like new release list that they put out, you know. And there's none of this big media press. It's just like, it's another fucking cross band, you know.
Yeah.
So we did.
Yeah. No, continue,
please.
like
that. Yeah, we did it like that, and then from there, as soon as we went to try and find things to do with Slaves, then one of those labels that I sent it to, Sickos in Indonesia, he was like, "Yo, we want to put Slaves out on tapes." And we were like, "Oh, sweet, go ahead." And obviously, I ain't never seen one. You know, I could probably order one, I guess, you know, but it's just like, for them to send it back over with the price of UPS shipping or DHL or whatever, like, it's going to cost them a fucking fortune, you know. So I could pay for the shipping, or I could just let them have them and distro them.
It's one thing to point out. I mean, it's one thing to play guitar for a group or any instrument, or even, you know, sing for a band. But, you know, I often forget that you're actually handling quite a lot of distribution and a lot of the logistics of getting the word out quite far. And the fact that you've actually done it to multiple different ends of the world, essentially, that's quite remarkable.
To be honest, I think it's probably easier in hardcore and in cross punk, because I've, like, unless you're looking for a record label to give you money, you know, and then, like, we're doing that now with Purified by Fire, and I think we have, like, it's my label, Tired of Life, which I'm basically, me and Ricky Spanish, our singer, we're going to do that together, I think, because I don't have the time to be doing it all. Yeah, the same with that. We're calling around and emailing people, and people are going, "Yeah, I'll call this guy," and whatever, and we're just like, "Hey, guy, do you want to put some money into a vinyl?" You know. But the fact that we grew up writing letters to people to get demo tapes, and you know, swapping tapes with people that you didn't know and stuff like that, then you already have that mindset. So it's not that hard to get back into it, really. It's like DIY shit from when you're a kid, you know, like, and there was no internet.
Or like tape trading from around the 90s.
Exactly. Or even just like when you wanted to buy like a band's t-shirt or whatever, you had to send like a postal order to them, and just
mail order.
Sit with your finger up your arse for like 4 weeks to get a t-shirt, you know, like, but it was worth the wait. You didn't get pissed off, you know.
Yeah, you knew it'd come eventually.
Yeah, but I think like the younger kids as well, like the millennials or whatever the fuck people want to call them, like those people from the generation like after me, the kids that grew up in the 90s, and so on, like, they're helping the vinyl move as well, because they're buying it. That's crazy good. I don't know how that happened, but kids buy vinyl, You know, teenagers buy vinyl, they buy cassette tapes. That's crazy. And it's a really positive thing. Like, maybe it's that full cycle thing, you know, that people are just like, you've only got it on Apple Music, have you? You know what I mean? Like, that could be a positive thing, man, because I think like that.
Yeah, and I've noticed there's been an increase. Loads of people in my circles have been collecting vinyls and, you know, putting up Instagram photos of their recent vinyls of some, you know, some death metal band or something like that. And I'm just thinking to myself, well, there is no substitute for physical albums. You know, it's with like streaming and all that, it's fire and forget. But actually having something physical, I mean, I got a very large CD collection. I've been collecting since I was a teenager, but yeah, there's nothing that beats it. You know, even if the medium does seem a bit redundant, I think there's always going to be a market for it, even if it is like a collector's market.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like when I started doing the trading for Tide of Life in the beginning, it was literally like, I've got 15 records, 15 tapes. Do you want them? Yeah, cool. And the guy that I traded with, and I didn't know anything about this. The first guy was like, look, here's my list. And it was like, okay, so vinyl is worth 4 points. Like tape is worth 2 points. Do you know what I mean? And a CD is worth 1 point or whatever. You know, and it's obviously like on how much they cost or, you know, whatever. So I just sent 15 tapes and I got 15 tapes back.
Nice.
Yeah, nice. And then of other random bands, like 2 of this, 3 of this, whatever. And I was like, shit, like, and my tape deck was kind of shitty. So I just went around the charity shops until I found a Sony Mega Bass.
Oh, nice.
Like Walkman. Just like, right, well, I'm just auxiliary recording that like I would an iPhone. You know what I mean? So yeah, I've got a box of batteries and a Sony Mega Bass and just listen to tapes on the good stereo, you know?
Yeah, or anyone else sort of has got maybe like a whole vinyl and hi-fi setup in their living room still, and there'll be plenty of evenings that probably just chill with them, you know, quite,
yeah,
you know, just like any type of man. So, no, it's actually quite refreshing to hear that, especially coming from you as well. If there's still like a demand for that kind of thing as well, old mediums, maybe there actually is hope. I'd probably put that down to, you know, raising kids right and appreciating just sort of older mediums, because if they're not entirely dead, they still got value. You know?
For real.
Yeah. One thing I was going to mention as well, because regarding the Wail of Sirens, that isn't the only thing you're currently doing. I mean, if it wasn't enough that you do playing bass for Borstal and doing guitar for Wail of Sirens, and then you got this other project that's coming up, Sour Vibes. I mean, what can you tell us about that?
Sour Vibes is like, I don't know, it's a raw thing. It was basically my solo project. I say solo project, like I was just writing songs, really raw, really dirty, really basic stuff. But it was just an opportunity to do something that sounded really dirty, that was slow, which I'm not used to doing really, and doing something different. And I just wanted to be hateful and sound horrible, like. It's more of an expression, you know, like there's no real want or need to, you know, to do anything with it or whatever. I'm sure we'll play shows, and we played a show a few years ago, and then just never recorded the stuff that we've written. So we just decided once again during this lockdown, it's like, oh, we've got a recording studio ish. We've got recording equipment, is a better way of putting it. And so it's like, fuck it, you know. And we did that as well. We recorded like half of that live, and then we did overdubs. And so it's got all the feedback. Like it's like some of the songs, even though like I play guitar on some of them, and I'm actually playing bass in that band. But obviously because I've written a bunch of this stuff, I'm like, right, okay, I'll play guitar on this. So I'd play guitar with Joel, like with the amp pretty much on full as well, so you can hear it bleeding over other stuff. And we recorded, and then Joel's like, I just want to carry on, so I had to take the guitar off and pass it to Alex, and Alex just starts recording the next one. So the whole thing just ran like that. But yeah, we're just making something dirty, disgusting, miserable. I just wanted to, misery is That's really the mentality.
Just filthy, just absolute noisy, filthy music.
Yeah, I mean, it's not drone or anything like that. Essentially, it's kind of like quote and beat down riffs. Really, it's not the sort of thing you'd probably expect if you listen to a bunch of the other stuff that I've recorded, but something that I wanted to do, and that's getting mixed and mastered at the moment, I believe, by Lou from DTC. Kind of put him on the spot with that.
Geez.
Here's a bag of shit, bro. Sorry.
Yeah, he did mention this to me privately. He's he's doing the best he can with you basically pulled the same shit that you did with Ron previously from the sounds.
Essentially that. It's like, hey bro, do you want to do this? Like, yeah, sure. And then you give it to him. Like, sorry. But it's not that bad. It's not that bad.
No.
It's like the one that we get to run was probably a lot more raw. That's a lot of years ago. We didn't really know what we're doing. I'm not saying that we do now, but we knew a lot less then, And the first one, we recorded it with a shopping bag, like a plastic bag from the shop, full of like random mics. Like proper random looking mics, man. Do you know what I mean? Like you open it up, look like a bag of dildos, just like. But we had a digital 8-track with no power supply, so we had to put AAA batteries in it.
I think that the word for this is ghetto tech.
Oh, dude! I think at one point as well there wasn't a mic stand, so we cut off the top of a tall beer can, and like sort of put the mic in it, like filled it full of paper and put the mic in it, taped it to something. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think I actually have a picture of that somewhere. It's like the 8-track, and then like the kick drum's got like a bit of a beer can attached to it for some reason. And then we had the nerve to send that to Russ Russell and be like, bro, can you mix and master this? And he was like I'm not going to quote him or paraphrase, but it pretty much was like, look, I'll do it for you, but yeah, don't be telling everyone. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, sure, I can do it unofficially in the shed. You know what I mean? Like, but he pushed it back like in a couple of days, and we were like, holy shit. You know what I mean? But yeah, he took him a few years to be like, yeah, I fixed that.
Yeah. I mean, Russ, I should probably bring this to Russ Russell, because I mean, he's no slouch when it comes to, just producing stuff. I mean, at the moment, I think he's currently finishing up, or he probably already finished the new At the Gates record, which is coming out later this year. And he's worked with Napalm and all that. I mean, how'd you come to meet the man?
I met Russ through Nick Barker. So I don't know, I want to say like 2009, I guess. I think it was 2009. Barker was playing at Damnation Festival. And so a bunch of us rolled up to go and hang out with Nick. And while I was hanging out with Nick, I met Russ Russell, and we just got on straight away. And it wasn't like I didn't know what he looked like. I didn't know who Russ. I knew who Russ Russell was, but I didn't know what he looked like. So when Nick introduced me, it's like, oh shit, okay, yeah, how you doing? But yeah, we hung out that weekend and we stayed in touch. And then I think we first went to do River Freshney. We did a track with River Freshney with Russ. I spent the weekend there and just knocked out one track, and we're like, well, let's see what's up with this. And that was the last thing we ever recorded before that crumbled. But then from there, we had. I think from there, we told Ted Moore, yo, you should go to Russ. Mm-hmm. So then the Ted Moore boys went, which meant that then he knew Grandy and he knew me and Lee. So then when we went back to him for Dripback in 2010, it was already family. And so then we stayed with him. We did 3 records with him with Dripback. and then we're going back now in June, July, I believe, to do the 7-inch. So it's going to be nice to go back there. The whole place, the parlor's been like all redone as well. So I haven't like, I've only seen pictures of what it looks like now. So it's going to be cool to go into that place. I love recording there. I love working with him. And I'm not doing vocals, so it'd be interesting to see a different side of it.
Yeah, because I mean, when I first knew about you, and I guess eventually met you, it was through Dripback. I mean, Dripback was probably the big output you were doing at the time. I mean, I remember, what was it? We're talking Bloodstock, 2011. You guys were playing I think it was the Sophie Lancaster stage, and
yeah,
wow. Yeah, you definitely toured a new asshole, or at least one of the groups that sort of really left an impression, not just on me, but several people in tents. You had all kinds of circle pits and mad behavior, man. Just devils. You brought out the devils.
Yeah, dude, and we saw that too. Like, we really appreciated that. That was probably like our 12th or 10th or 11th show or something. Because literally all we'd done is play with Soylent Green. We didn't play a show before we did that Soylent Green tour.
Oh, nice.
So that was our first show. Was the first day that Inhaling the Ashes came out. Yeah. On Siege of Amida, and so it was a big day for us, and we started. It was our first show. We opened main support for Soylent. And then we did the full UK and Irish tour with those. And then straight off the back of that, we did Bloodstock and Download in the same year.
Oh shit, even Download. Fuck. So you were already on the festival circuit within the band's youth. And the thing was, like, what I took away from it when I first saw you guys, when I saw, I think it was maybe Poshy originally who told me about you guys. Well, first of all, I see guys from River Freshney, your previous output, Grandy from Ted Mall, and I was a big Ted Mall fan back in like 2007 or whenever it was. Right. And Hedgie as well, who's the original drummer. And then you had Adam from Lab Rat, and Lab Rat's going way back. But you just bring out this EP, Inhale the Ashes, and I'm just like, you know what, this is fucking good. This is filthy, but it strikes a chord. So yeah, you guys managed a pretty good run with that, especially around that time. Various tours and that. I think I remember seeing you guys again. You were supporting Crowbar. And it was around the time your LP came out as well. So it's not like it didn't stop. There were obviously gaps, but it was still a machine to be reckoned with.
Oh, yeah. But that first year, we were fucking rabid, dude. And also, I don't think any of us were married and none of us had kids. But we were rabid that first year. For our very first show, like I watched the videos of that first show. It's like, it don't look like our first show. Everybody was so rabid. Everybody was so hungry, and we did that Soylent thing. Then we did the two festivals, and then around about then, Barker was like, "Right, come and do some shows with Lock Up." So we did. I think we did. That was the first time we toured with Lock Up, and we were with the Rotted as well. And
yes,
that's a sick lineup, man. Like, playing with the Rotted and Lock Up, happy days, man. And so we did that. I think that was the first year. We did some other stuff as well, and then back to Bloodstock the next year. So we had other stuff in between with that. Like, all the years were a bit of a blur with Dripback, to be honest. Like, I struggle with what year was which, but yeah, we smashed out. I think we smashed out a tour with Biohazard, and then we did a few shows. Then we did Bloodstock, and then we did a show with Narsum, and then another show with Pig Destroyer. Like, it was crazy, bro. Whatever we could get,
know what?
Like, let's fucking go.
You mentioned Pig Destroyer. I think I saw you guys. It was at the Garage, the Relentless Garage in London. Around the time Pig Destroyer brought out Book Burner in 2012. Yeah, I think I was at that one as well.
Dude,
Again,
that was insane.
that was insane.
Yeah, that was insane. It was my birthday as well, and we were all going off to my stag do long weekend the morning after the show, and so it was just party straight from the beginning, man. But yeah, that Big Destroyer show was crazy. I loved that band. And
band,
so it was so cool to play and hang out with those dudes. Yeah, I mean, like, we had to take our breaks and stuff when we all started sort of growing up a little bit or whatever. Like, there's been mortgages got and a whole bunch of kids being born. So yeah, like, I think me, Adam, and Heggy and Nathan Rat from Lab Rat, we all had kids within the same year.
All right.
Yeah.
So
then after
proper
that,
maturity by this point.
Well, I wouldn't say that, but I wouldn't say that. That would be ridiculous. But yeah, it definitely it hindered us from just being able to jump on anything and just, fucking ripping things up. But we still put in a lot of fucking effort, man. Like you said, we did Crowbar stuff and a bunch of other shows. We had some really cool opportunities.
Yeah, and not all that long ago, you released the EP, Blessed with Less Than Nothing. And this is where I properly got to meet you, because I did that video for you guys, Altered States of Consciousness. And yeah, and I think at that, because that was originally done around gig circuits in 2018 with Red Method, Dishonor the Crown, and Luca's other band, This Is Endless, as well. I'm guessing this is one of those rare points where the stars align, kind of thing, and things can get moving again, albeit for a short time.
Yeah, I mean, everything's always planned way in advance in order to make things work. So you got to know what you're doing and where you're about for about 6 months. It's like, right, this is going to come out here. We're going to have to do that there. Most of it is DIY. So we're just trying to, let's find a venue in this town. Where do people want us to go? That normally doesn't matter. We just pick what we want to do. That's easy. We'll go there. Yeah, we always like playing in Kent. Lee's from Kent. We know a lot of people down there. There's a lot of cool kids that I knew from. I lived down there for a little while, back sort of 2004. I was tattooing down there, and we love Nottingham as well. That's always another one for us. That's like our second home. A lot of good bands, a lot of good people come out of Nottingham. So we just put everything together and. Just playing with the Son of the Crown is always fucking fun, man. Hanging out with Jeremy and the boys in Red Method as well. So that was cool. But then obviously the record, and then that didn't come out for time after that. Various other reasons, and that actually came out. Last year, like. It
2020.
It came out in March, and we had shows booked, had loads of cool things booked for last year, and obviously everything soured due to this bullshit. So everything needs picking up and dusting off, doesn't it? When you're done. But with Borstal, we've already there's this run that we've got right now.
Yeah.
Because we've been creating everything and working on everything throughout this, so that when it clears up, we're fight ready, man.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's worth noting as well. With that last Dripback EP, that's been put on the same independent label. I'm guessing that's the one that Lee started, For Family Records, the same as Borstal.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess from one to another, you kind of had the infrastructure in place to get the ball rolling on something else if nothing was happening.
And the CD as well, because the CD's out on Ruction Records.
That's right. Can't forget that.
So that was, both things were a no-brainer. It was like, we're going to put out this on CD. It's like, boom, Ruction. No questions. And then with the vinyl, we're going to put this out on vinyl. It's like, well, guess who's doing that? You know, that's how it is. I mean, with the EP, this 7-inch, we'll do that as well. So we put the 7-inch will be out on 4 Family. We'll probably just do that on vinyl. Maybe some tapes.
Maybe,
you know,
maybe
some tapes.
I can see there being a slight demand for cassettes.
Yeah, so we'll see about that. But then with the album, obviously, like we're looking for a label, because it'd be so much sweeter to not have to do all this and just solely focus on what we want to do.
Yeah.
You know, like for Lee, like I said, it takes so much time out of your life when you're doing it all on your own.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and I remember him being extremely busy, especially in the run up to the Borstal release, LP release as well. Sorry, EP release.
He works he's hustling every day, doing his day job. You know, like as am I. So it's one of them. Like if we could find somebody else to do it, that'd be sweet.
But until then, it's probably the hardest juggling act imaginable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I'm kind of used to that, bro.
That's right.
Like when life gets quiet and sort of and there becomes all of these regular occurrences that turn into a structure, that turn into a schedule. Like, I got to throw something crazy in the mix, man. Always. It's like, oh, let's start a record label. You know, let's do another band. My wife's looking at me like, another band, yeah.
I don't even want to ask how she's taken all this.
Well, I think, to be honest, the only thing that I have on my side is the fact that she met me she met me just before I put out the Dripback, Inhaling the Ashes, just before that came out.
Right. So the train was already moving at that point.
Yeah. So what do you do? It's like, I don't know, like fly. I was living in Sweden. It's like, gonna fly to England to do a show in Leicester on Wednesday. You know, for no money. You know, but she knew about that already. So it gets a bit tough. But she supports me, and her parents are pretty cool with we're hooking up as well. Like when I go away for longer periods of time, then. That she always gets a bit of help if she needs it. So, but yeah, that's the price of surrounding yourself with me. Really, that's like boxes of vinyl under the drawer. I mean, you don't want to see Lee's. I'm just talking about Wail of Sirens stuff. You know,
this is
like she just found a chest in the garden, and I know that it's got like a little stash of tapes in it and some other shit. And there's probably nothing else in it.
I think the definition of that is bringing the work home with you. But then again, where else are you going to put it? It's not like you could set up like office and such or some stuff. This is pretty much homework by definition.
Yeah, dude, I've been doing that with tattooing for the last 20 years as well, bro. You know what I mean? Like, house is just full of pens, and I'm using an iPad to draw now, but it used to be like tracing paper over there, 3 different drawings of the same thing that I don't like any of them. You know, pencil sharpener under the sofa and all this sort of stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I saw you put up images of all the recent sort of different pens that you had as well.
Oh, the machines, but I'm doing that as well. I have a shed in the garden. I make the tattoo machines in it. So
nice.
Yeah, staying busy. But I got a day for machines. Monday is the day for machines, and also Monday is the day for Wail of Sirens or Sour Vibes. So that's that pocket. Monday is that day. There's a structure.
It's gotten to the point where we've actually had to schedule the various times between projects.
Oh, 100%, dude. 100%. But that's it. You know, I mean, like Monday. That's my shop's not even open on a Monday, and so I just build tattoo machines, or I get down and do some drawing. And then over to the studio in the evening to do either Sour Vibes or Wail of Sirens, whichever we choose to do that day. So a lot more Wail of Sirens right now because we're writing a new record. So
already, even just
never
after
stop.
Putting out the recent EP.
Never stop. Our drummer Joel has got a very, very short attention span when it comes to like the current songs. You know, it's like, I don't want to play any of those songs. It's like, you kind of got to play stuff from this record. No, we don't. I want new songs. You know, like, and that's dude, that's so cool, man. Like, because you don't get lazy. I forget so much stuff. It's like, yo, we haven't played that in 4 years, you know, because we've just been focusing on this other thing. But that's nice because there's no real like proper work ethic with that. It's like we just do it as and when we please, and we enjoy it. Sometimes we go to rehearsal. Me and Alex just say inappropriate shit for 3 hours while Joel just goes, you can't say that. Stop being like that, you know. And you know, and we'll play a couple of songs and then we go home. Other days we're just smashing it out. You know, it's nice to have that freedom.
I bet it does. Well, freedom for as long as you can as well. I imagine lockdown very much helped with some of that as well. One thing I was going to ask you, because I mean, we've pretty much gone over all your current projects and Dripback, so it might be time to sort of give sort of viewers and listeners sort of a bit of a, you know, explain River Freshney to us, because that was kind of like one of your earliest sort of outputs. And I'm guessing it was sort of the genesis for a lot of what you did in the last decade as well.
Yeah, I mean, once again, like much like Sour Vibes, really, it was more. I don't want to sound. Sometimes, you know what, I can have a big vocabulary when I'm talking about. I don't want to sound like artsy or anything, but like Freshney was really just an output at the time.
Yeah.
I'd been doing another band before that, Failure of Usual Reasoning, and I was writing a lot of riffs for that as well. Like shit, I was even playing drums in rehearsal because our drummer was always late. You know, like I was just trying to do stuff and sharing with some good people. And then I started, like, I wanted to do something different, and I had this idea for Freshney, and I wanted to play guitar. I got Nick from Inner Rage. I played a few shows with them, filling in for bass, and I loved that band. So it was, and then I had Nick, so I was like, right, yo, come and jam these songs with me. And we had our own rehearsal space in like near Holborn, Chancery Lane. And we shared that with Inner Rage, so it was perfect, you know. Like we had all the stuff set up, and we took opportunity to just get on that. And the whole idea was it was Doyle from My War as well. He'd been living in Nottingham, and he came down, moved to London, and we went to college together in Grimsby. So we were like, oh, let's do something, and we just wanted to be like, I don't know, like the Northern English SOD.
Yeah, because it did come across as quite humorous and politically incorrect. So you achieved that, especially with a track like "Shit Band No Fans."
Yeah, which also, I mean, this is how far River Freshney sort of just got worse and worse. That was a diss track. That was a straight up diss track. Like, yeah, dude, that was crazy. Like we just expressed as much shit as we could. We were behaving horrifically. Forgotten so much of it because we were so hammered constantly, like stupidly bad behavior. And we were just enjoying it because it was weekends and stuff. You know, we'd just go, like once a month we'd be out doing something, and then it'd be like every other week we'd be out, play a show in this place, just throw transistor heads in the back of Bruno's car, all cram in, bolt up to a show, knock it out, get mangled, sleep on the floor somewhere, come home. You know, it was crazy. But yeah, we developed like the music when Lee joined. Lee joined in 2006, or early 2007, and he started playing bass. And then after that, we were like, yo, fuck this, man, like we need 2 guitars. So we got like the apprentice from my tattoo shop at the time, Mike. We were like, yo, come play bass. So then me and Lee were playing guitar, and then obviously that added more people to the bad behavior. And then Doyle left, and I started singing, and then we got Fares from Damnas in, And by that point, we were on our full gangster thrash flex, man. It was horrific. It was horrific. Like, learning how to play that cunted was an art, man. Like, we had to rehearse cunted. Like, that was the mentality. It's like, right,
a simpler time.
Yeah, it's like get mangled. Like, so we'd drink gin, or we'd drink Ginocide, which was basically cans of strong cider in a glass with like a double gin in it.
Oh, jeez.
And we just drink them, get drunk, rehearse, like fights with each other, all sorts of shit, breaking stuff. Like, oh, it was horrible, man. Like, if I had the time to tell you those stories, like, some of the things are just unbelievable, man. And a lot of them ridiculously criminal as well. Like, it was bad behavior, really bad behavior. But yeah, then we got a beef. So then we had a beef with this band Heretic. It was in the days of these forum things, and I'm too old for that, bro. I don't understand, you know. So you know, bands are just all on a forum, just talking shit about each other. It's like, yo, people just letting this slide. Like, what the fuck is this? So somebody talks shit about us, we just go down the fucking show and just beat them up. We're like, yo, like, real life, motherfucker. Oh, it's just on the computer. It's like, no, sorry. You know what I mean? And then obviously they get sad and beef tracks, you know.
And here's me thinking diss tracks only existed in rap. Nah.
Yeah. No, forget that, man. Like, we're freshly would bang on that, man. Like, I think they did theirs first. I think it was all a bit sly and a bit tongue in cheek. I was just straight up naming mans, you know.
I will admit, my first exposure to that track, you had there was this one gig, and I bring up the Unicorn a lot on the show, but hey, it's my haunt. You had a sort of a one-off gig as River Freshney at the Unicorn. I want to say 2014, 2015, something like that. Hennessy was there as well. Really drunk, unfortunately. But
always.
But I just enjoyed what I saw there. I think I still got footage of that because I was filming with, you call him the Prime Minister, Mark Brugeri, because he was shooting stuff for you then as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, basically, it was. We'd been talking about stuff like we'd started playing with this other project like years ago, like. And Lee wanted to do something, but he wanted to step away from River Freshney for obvious reasons. Why wouldn't you? You know what I mean? But he wanted it in the same vein. So we started having this idea of this project called Cutting Heads, and Lee was doing guitar and Faris was playing guitar. And obviously I was set to do vocals, and I was already sort of writing stuff. I was writing stuff in like a grime style as well. Like, it's very bizarre. And Heggy from Dripback on drums. But then from there, like, Heggy was just like, yo, you should do a River Freshney show. You know what I mean? Oh, fuck, put it in our head now, innit? You know what I mean? It's like, you should do a Freshney show, I'll play on drums. It's like, oh, fucking hell. So yeah, we just decided to give it like a proper send-off, because we didn't really get a proper send-off with that band. It was never like, oh, this is our last show. It's just like, I think the last show we played was opening for Sepultura and Gamma Bomb.
Oh, wow.
In King's Cross at the Scala, and Barker was on drums.
Oh, nice.
And that was basically our last show. Like, after that, because we'd fallen out with Nick at the time, and he'd left the band. We fired him, whatever worked. And then from there, we had the show books. We were like, oh, Barks, do you want to do the shows? Yeah, sure, no worries. So he's picked the set list. I think he listened to it. He was on tour with somebody else. He listened to it on on his iPod or whatever, and then came over, we rehearsed it, and then we just went and played that show. And then that was that. So it was nice to do something at the Unicorn. I played there with so many bands. It was nice to take River Freshney there and do that one. I think that was like the Holloway trifecta, I guess. I think we played 2 other venues in Holloway, but never that one.
Coming full circle, I guess, or full triangle, as you put it.
Yeah.
One thing I was going to bring up as well, because Lee brought up a lot. You and Lee, you're pretty much inseparable. I think I remember you saying before they kind of regarded you two as the twins as well.
Yeah, the Toxic Twins, man. Yeah, we just worked really well together, man. Like we were hanging out. I was working in a tattoo shop in Canterbury on the High Street, and it was upstairs, and you had to enter it through this head shop. And Lee was working at the head shop, so I used to see him every day. And I drop him a demo, like a refreshing demo or whatever. I said, "Oh, yo, what you listening to?" Like spotting each other's t-shirts, like metal t-shirts and whatever. I'm just like, "Yo, bro, like, let's hang out." And me and him started hanging out a lot. And then he came on tour with Freshney in 2006. He did a UK tour with us, just like coming to do much and help out and whatever. And by the end of that, we were like, yeah, we like him better than the bassist. Fucking sack him off. So we sacked off the bassist and got Lee in. But then Lee came and lived with me and Bruno at Bruno's apartment. So then from there, me and Lee lived together for years. And every night we just stay up, get hammered, write riffs, like one sofa each across the coffee table. And so we've been working and writing together so long, it's just so easy for us to do stuff, but also we proper play the camp together as well. Yeah. So yeah, we're good at egging each other on and being stupid. So it works both ways, isn't it? I mean,
and you think that'll probably continue, especially sort of years after as well, even as, life changes.
Yeah, of course, man. I mean, Lee's godfather, Lee and his wife, Claire, are the godparents of my daughter. So let's hope that we got like we can hang out together and stuff for as long as possible. I mean, they're good people. They're my favorite people. I hang with them, like I tattoo out of their bedroom when I'm in London. They look after me, man.
Yeah, it shows, and not just in the several projects as well. Like, the outputs that you've got, you've had as well. It's just like, you're doing the Lord's work almost.
We work well together, man. It's simple as that. And the things that we're good at together are things that we both enjoy. So it's super easy. That's my boy.
It's your boy. I'm going to turn this around on you, though, because one thing I did want to bring up earlier, because you've kind of just seamlessly sort of moved from different musical roles, whether it was doing vocals in Dripback or Freshney, guitar and Wail of Sirens, bass, and you mentioned drums before like that. I mean, how did you come to sort of at least sort of take on those sort of multiple instruments as well? Like what's sort of your background in learning instruments? Because that ain't an easy feat.
All right. Well, first off, like I'm completely shit at drums. Like,
all right.
Like,
we'll wipe that one out.
All I can do is literally like get my point across. It's like it needs to go like that. You know what I mean? Shitty Phil. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, I've only ever really done that if that's what it takes to get things put together in the studio. You know what I mean? Like get my point across, or idea of bridging this guy's riff with my riff, whatever, putting things together. But no, I started playing. First guitar I got was like a old Spanish acoustic that had been in our loft. I think my dad bought it probably in like sometime in the late 70s, early 80s, and never used it. Like nobody in my family is really musical at all. My godparents are. And as I got a little older, like I think I got my first guitar. I bought it with pocket money or some shit when I was about 14. It was shit. It came with a little Rhino amp.
I think I know the ones.
Yeah. And yeah, I had that for a little while, and I literally just learned. I bought tab books from the music shop. So I bought a Kill 'Em All tab book and a Rain in Blood tab book, and I just sat there and it's like, right, work this out. You know, and that's literally the only time that I've looked at anything like that. You know what I mean? Just those two tab books, pretty much. And I mean, to be fair, if you listen to the Fresh New Riffs, you can see that as well. You know what I mean? It's all the same path. But I've just been lucky enough to be working around people ever since I was a teenager that were more accomplished than myself. Purely that, like playing with older kids all the time. People that were already in bands, sometimes people, like as a teenager, people with a little bit of an ego that they were good because they were outspoken and you could learn a lot from them. You know what I mean? So I soak up everything, man. Like, it's like, how the fuck's he doing that? Ask. You know, yeah, what's the deal with that? I don't know anything about that. And that's been really good. Playing with Lee. Lee's way better than me. You know what I mean? So it's like, fuck, I got out of my game. You know what I mean? And so we just sit and play, and he made me play riffs I don't want to play. You know, I'm like, no, it's too hard. I don't want to do that. It's like, come on, fucking get you to it. And the same much with Alex from Wail of Sirens. Like he does the same. He's one of the most accomplished musicians I know. You know what I mean? But he didn't really have any of that DIY mentality or whatever. He came from playing. I think this was like, you know, his first proper band as such. He was doing stuff before that, I guess, and he was playing in covers bands. Really good guitarist, you know. But obviously, I had all of that other knowledge, and he had all this musical knowledge. And so he's like, "Yo, play this." I'm like, "How the fuck do you do that?" And so I started learning stuff of him, and he, whether I like it or not, he still does that to me, and you know, I am grateful for it because it's taught me to write better. It's taught me to play better. I find things a lot easier now. You know, and if you can play a guitar, then you can play bass, can't you? I don't know.
Yeah,
it's only fucking punk rock, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, the two kind of go hand in hand, especially in heavy music genres. More often than not. No, fair enough, mate. Fair enough. But no, from the punter's perspective, it seems like, you know, you pretty much stepped up every time when it mattered. So I guess it's sort of a situational kind of thing every time, I suppose, you know, judging by what you've said. Probably going to wrap this up soon, but I was just going to ask, I mean, with the exception of obviously Sour Vibes on the way and obviously future plans of Borstal, I mean, what are your overall future plans going forward? I mean, I know it's wholly dependent on how 2021's looking in terms of COVID and the lockdown, but then again, that probably doesn't stop you. You know, you've already proven to adapt around a shitty situation like this.
Yeah, dude. Like, I mean, with Wail of Sirens, we're just going to get down with doing what we're doing. So just write another record. That's what we do. Like, make it better than the last one. That's always the mentality. Better for us. But, you know, if everybody else thinks it, great. Sour Vibes, put it out. See if people get miserable. See if they don't. You know what I mean? Either way, if they don't like it, job done. If they think it's awesome, sweet. You know, job done. And we'll see what happens other than that. But then with the Borstal stuff, like, yeah, it's full power, man. Let's just grab what we can. We're signed up with Ben Ward at Route 1 Booking. So he's already firing some bits and bobs at us. He's doing a great job, and he's throwing stuff at us, and we're like, yeah, should we do this? Should we do that? You know, does that fit around this? Does, you know, like Brewery have got this? Whatever. Knuckle Duster got this, and we're already picking bits up. So I just want to get that record on everybody's decks, get this new one done, get that out, and finally be able to not only go to a hardcore show but play one, man. That would be sweet. That would be sweet. So right now, that's all I want. Just play some shows, meet some people. You know, hopefully. Get some vans and some trains and some planes and go do some cool shit.
Yeah, get back on the saddle. I'm looking forward to gigs as well. It's not a case of if, it's just when now. So, but things at the moment, they are looking a bit promising this summer, but we'll wait and see. All right. What I'll do is I'll obviously put all the relevant links to all of your projects after this, but are there any particular links you want to plug?
Yeah, check out fourfamilyrecords.com. You know, like all my band links. It's nice and easy. You can check out my tattoo work at WEZ4. It's WEZ with a Z on Instagram or whatever. And I, to be honest, like if anybody that supports our stuff, I just appreciate it, man. Like because we're just stupid cats, just doing what the fuck we want to do, man. And it's really nice that people are supporting it. And if one or two people get that record and they keep it and they enjoy it, then I'm cool, man. I'm cool. I'm still going to be doing it anyway. You know, it's a life force, man. I can't live without this. So make noise. Hopefully enjoy it with some people.
Absolutely. Boom. Yeah, we'll be getting on that. All right. We'll have a chat afterwards, man. But anyways, thanks again for taking the time. And yeah, we'll no doubt cross paths in the near future. Hopefully at a Borstal show, if nothing else.
Indeed, man. Indeed. Thank you very much.
Sweet. Boy.